about vacations.
I know,
I
right?
like vacation. My daughter-in-law said, "So do you get time off for spring break?" Because of course my grandkids do. We
Uh-huh.
can do something, and I'm like, "No, I don't have time off for spring break. I
You
have
have time for
school.
anything.
I don't."
Oh, dear.
Okay, go ahead and start whenever you're ready.
Okay, so week 6 was on program evaluation. Let's get to so the couple of reflective questions that I worked on, the one was, what's the purpose of program evaluation? And I just think it's the process we have to go through to gather the information that we need to make our program stronger. And it gives us hopefully both positive and negative feedback so that we know what we need to change, what we need to, really expound upon, and what we need to change. So I think it's just the, the information gathering, good and bad feedback is the word that I wanted. The next question I thought about was, why is it important to have a clear understanding of your vision and the program goals and objectives for your program before assessing it? And I thought about the quote from Alice in Wonderland, and President Monson, I think, is the one that always quotes the Cheshire Cat. I've actually never seen Alice in Wonderland, and I probably need to watch it. But where they said, if you don't know where you're going, you won't know when you get there. And Alice, I think that was a thought that I had, that if you don't know where you're going, then you're not going to know when you reach that. And Alice in Wonderland, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. So I think as far as understanding the vision and the program goals, we're not going to know if we were successful, if we don't have it clearly lined out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you know what, too? I really like the fact that that quote goes perfectly with that chapter. I mean, that's a good one.
Mm-hmm. So that, I just kept thinking about, we've got to have a clear vision and clear objectives. I know when I submitted my objectives outline, I got it back and had to redo it because I was not specific enough in what my ultimate goals were. So I think it's really important to keep track of that. Okay, then week 7 was ethics and case management. And let's see. Okay. So one of the things that I wrote down on my outline was tips for new professionals, and it was talking about the difficult ethical situations take time to process and problem solve. And my thought and my note to myself was, don't be too quick to find a solution, because sometimes those quick solutions are not the best ones. And I think I found that in all aspects of my life, even that if I'm too quick to come up with a solution, then later on I think, if I'd only done it this way, the outcome could have been better. And then in the summary where they talked about ethics and what ethics is, the first point that I put down was that ethics is a habit, a deeply ingrained way of thinking that permeates our interaction with family members and other professionals. My thought to myself was, it becomes part of our moral character. And so then I thought, okay, so how are ethics and integrity related? So I think that in that, especially in that particular summary bullet point, integrity could be substituted there, because it is our habit and our deeply ingrained way of thinking that permeates out into what we do. And I think, I don't know, I just think the word ethics and integrity go together. they just, because if you're not ethical, then you don't have integrity either.
Right.
And so that was just kind of a little thought that I had. How does the code of ethics strengthen your practice and the relationship with those you teach? I put that I think it's important to have a code of ethics in any profession. It helps to set important boundaries, and without those boundaries, any number of catastrophes could happen. So I think it kind of becomes our checks and balance system, where we have to know the boundaries so that we can have the healthy relationships within those boundaries. How is your value system likely to influence you as you teach? And then I go back to the code of ethics similar to my code of integrity. And that the way I teach will be, I can foresee that the way that I would teach would be the way that I live. That I use those same ethics and the same integrity that I live my life is how I would teach. And that I put in here that I would hope that I would have the same compassion for those who have a different value system. And then the next question was, how would you approach working with someone who is very different, even contradicting values from your own? And it was interesting, even before I read that question, as I was reading through the ethics, I thought, what if I was doing or asked to do a workshop or asked to work with people who lived totally different than I did, whose values were totally different? How would I handle that? And I would hope that I would handle it in a professional manner and with compassion. But I have a tendency to get upset with people who just do stupid things. And I want to tell them that they're just being stupid and doing stupid things. But that wouldn't go over very well in a one-on-one learning, teaching type situation. So I've really thought a lot about that the last couple of days. And if I read something this morning, there was a link on my Facebook page to a what was it called? A 3-ad or something. Anyway, it was 3 gay men that just got married. And I thought, come on now, seriously. But if I was called upon to teach some kind of parenting class or marriage class to those people, I'm afraid I would have to ask to not have to do that. Because I'm not sure that my values would allow me to not tell them how stupid they are.
Yeah, but here's the thing, too. And I've thought about this probably not as deeply as you have, but I've thought about the fact that what we're doing is trying to help people. So even if you had people come in to want to take a workshop or something who honestly wanted to have a better relationship or to work with their children better, do you think that you really might say, nah, I don't want to work with this couple?
I really would not say that.
Yeah,
because that was just a little rant, and I probably shouldn't have done that on live.
No, it's okay. No, but this is a good discussion because here's the thing. I have wondered the same kind of thing myself, and I've wondered how I would handle it. And I remember hearing a couple weeks ago, and I don't even remember which class it is because they all kind of run together after a while, that the idea is that you're helping other people. And so if somebody comes to you and they're genuinely interested in getting help in whatever way that I'm able to help, would I say, you know what, I'm not going to work with same-sex couples with their children because I really don't agree with that? The idea would be that from my perspective, from where I am right now, the idea would be that, yes, I would want to help them because I would want to help their children.
Right.
And so I know exactly what you're saying. I know what you're saying, but I really think that when we get closer to that, that it's more about helping people instead of having some sort of test that they have to pass before.
It will help them.
Yeah, don't
Yeah.
you think that?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I totally do. I feel exactly like you do. That yes, I would help them simply because everybody, it's choices. We make choices, and I'm in the profession to help others.
Right.
But
Well,
I mean, my first thing is, but I thought about that and I thought, you know, how would I really deal with that?
yeah.
Because I'm not. I'm sure that I probably know gay couples, but they're just not in my circle of,
Right.
in my sphere. So, but anyway, that was a good question for me to really. I really think deeply about that, and just because being in Montana, I probably will come up against that much easier than I would have in Idaho.
You don't think that there are a lot of gay couples in Idaho?
Oh, I'm sure there are, but my community was was not.
Yeah.
And so to have those in that community um, was not. It just because our community was so small and it was primarily LDS,
Right.
and so they just never surfaced. I'm sure they're there. They just never surfaced in my, you know.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was one. That was one that really caused me a lot of. Hang on just a second. My daughter's trying to get a hold of me. Hi, baby. Hey. Oh, there's a smile. Those are my cute baby.
Oh, she's adorable.
I'm on a class, honey. Can I call you back when I'm done?
I guess.
Okay, she even smiled at me. Let me see her again. Hi, Sunshine. Hi. Yeah, you're cute. Yeah, you're cute. I'll call you back when I'm done, honey.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
She's adorable.
She's so cute. She's almost 4 months old.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. Let's see. So, what were we talking?
How it made you think?
Yeah, it did. It's just one of those things that I'm sure that I will ponder on for a while.
Right.
Then let's see. I did two other questions. The one was the difference between the aspiration ethics approach and the let's see. So then Palm went on to state that the Code of Ethics for Family Life Educators was designed in the spirit of aspiration ethics versus mandatory ethics. So how does this sensitivity to the effects of one's intervention on the welfare of others create a higher standard than what mandatory ethics may provide? So my thought on that was that I think one of the most important things we can do to help with change in the improvement process is to build a relationship of trust. And I think the way you do that is through being sensitive to others and forming that bond and friendship and then helping them want to change. So I think when you go with the mandatory things, you have to do this, you have to do this, I think it takes out the personal touch. And I think in order to be effective in counseling or teaching or whatever we do, we have to have that personal touch with the clients that we work with.
Right.
And so I think that the aspiration ethics is the way that that I would go about doing that, because I'm the type of person that I need to have a personal relationship with someone in order to feel like I can affect their life at all. And so when you talked this morning in our meeting about teaching Relief Society and how you just feel like you have to be real. I taught Relief Society a few weeks ago in our new ward, and before I ever started, I just introduced myself to them. And I just told them, this is who I am. This is what I believe. This is what I cry about. This is what I laugh over. And it created the bond where the discussion in the class was much more effective, I think.
Right.
So, and then the last one was, let's see, the last one that I will talk about anyway. Oh, in chapter 8, or week 8, it talked about the three, the family therapy, the family life education, and the family case management. But
right.
The one question was, what is your role and responsibility in working with families as a family life educator, and what would 3 words that would best describe your role? The 3 words I came up with was educate, skills, and knowledge.
Oh, good.
So I think giving them the knowledge and the skills, then it's kind of like the old adage that if we give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day, but if we teach him to fish, he'll eat for a lifetime.
Right.
So if we educate and give the skills, then we've benefited their life for their lifetime.
Right.
So anyway, I'll shut up now. You go.
You're fine. Do you have anything else?
Let's see. Oh, just the last question that I had was, why is it so important that whatever our training is, we understand our limits and boundaries when working with families? And I think that a lot of problems can arise when we try to go outside of our scope of expertise and try and do something that we're really not trained to do.
Right.
And I just was thinking that I don't think there's anything wrong even with telling our clientele, you know what, that's just more than what I'm trained to do, but let me help you find somebody that can do that for you. And I think the code of ethics is in place for the protection of not only the client but the educator as well.
Right.
And then my last thought along that was, it's like the commandments, but we have to remember what they are, and then we have to obey them. And I think that's what the code of ethics does for us as family life educators.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So that was my last thought. I don't know how long I took, but probably more than the 7 minutes.
This can't be right. It says 17 minutes.
Oh, no.
No, I was timing it. It can't be right. That can't be right.
Oh, I hope not. Oh, my goodness.
Well, I can't tell. When you're taping on the Hangout, you can't tell until you're done how long it is.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it probably was 17 minutes.
Oh, well. That doesn't sound right. Okay. All right. Well, here's some of my thoughts. As I went through, so I really enjoyed the idea of the program evaluation. When I was putting together my own evaluation that we had to do for our portfolio, I am actually doing, here's the thing I'm going to do, I am going to do a pre and post questionnaire for my
nice.
people who come, because I want to know how they feel about what they know about stress before and after. So it's like 3 or 4 questions. It's not very many, but the same questions at the beginning before they actually go through the workshop, and then at the end, because I want to know if they actually understand better when they get to the end, and if there's a part that they understand better than other parts. So
that's awesome. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, and I thought it would be a great t-test, the pre and post t-test. So anyways, so I thought the program evaluation was really interesting, and all of that, a lot of it went into stuff that goes into workshops that are, well, they call them the mature workshops and programs that have been around forever. So it was really only like the first 3 parts of the evaluation that apply to us, but it was really interesting that we actually take this seriously enough that we look at whether or not we meet our goals and whether or not we're actually doing what we want to do, and that we're making it worth the person's time who is coming to our workshop. So I feel that personally, I feel responsible for those 2 hours that they will come to my workshop, because I want them to feel like it wasn't a waste of time and that they really truly got something out of it. If I was charging money, I would feel that even more strongly, that this would be something that they would feel like they really, that it was worth the time and effort to come. So I really liked all of that. The code of ethics I thought were really interesting. So the part that the ideas that came to me as I was looking at that is that you were talking about how the code of ethics is it tells us what kind of relationships we have with parents and families, with children and youth, with colleagues, and within our profession, and within our community and society. So one of the things that you mentioned, and I felt this really strongly in it, and it comes from the code of ethics, is that we don't take on the responsibility of teaching or saying that we understand more than we do. That's part of the code of ethics, is that we are honest with what we have schooling-wise, and that we don't pretend or put out the attitude that we have more or know more than we are. If we're not actually being ethical if we pretend to do above and beyond what we already have.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was really interesting. And that's not just a protection for the people that we're working with, but it is a protection for us. I mean, I don't know. And I think you're right. The whole idea about integrity and being ethical, while you were talking, it occurred to me that you said, can we be ethical without integrity? But I think it also goes the other way. We can't have integrity without being ethical. They go together,
Mm-hmm.
and they're linked. And so I can't have one if I don't have the other. They go together. So.
Right.
So the article by Palm, and the process that we went through in doing the ethical case studies, the thing that really hit me about that was that process is slow. And you even said this, when you make a decision or find a solution that's too quick, then it's not, you worry that you didn't come up with the right solution. And when you go through the steps of, because that was actually part of our assignment, and it was part of that article. You identify relationships, you apply principles, you identify the contradictions and tensions, you identify possible solutions, and then you decide on an action. It isn't like you all of a sudden something happens and you just know. It's a process, and you have to go through the process to actually come up with the idea, or to come up with the correct way of handling the situation. Okay, and so then for this week it was Doherty, which was interesting, the levels of family involvement. So, part of what I've gotten from our class is that there has been this tension about family life education and where they fit and how they fit and how it all comes together for the community that we're trying to serve. And Doherty said, he came out with these 5 levels of family involvement, and he, basically stair-stepped it down. This is absolutely family life education, and this is absolutely family therapy. And he kind of went through that process. But when I read Myers-Walls, the idea was that it's not so clear-cut. And I thought that whole article was super interesting in that it was well, I thought it was interesting that he or they, whoever they are, defined family life education, family therapy, and case management, and then talked about how knowing how to handle or what kind of category helping a family would go into depends on what is the content, where do the people provide services, and who is it for, and how are the specific needs determined. And then I copied into my outline because I loved it. Did you see the interlocking circles?
Uh-huh. I copied that one into
Oh,
mine.
did you? Did you? So I did that because it was so cool because it broke it all out. Family life education is methodology, normal healthy functioning, and it went through that whole thing, and I thought, this is really cool because you can see where the circles intersect and where their individual identities are beyond the others. And so that was really great. I love that. All of the things that we've learned over the last 3 weeks have been, instead of being how to be a better leader workshop-wise or how to plan our program better, this is, I felt, more of the underlying foundation of what we do. And so the foundation would be evaluating our program and deciding whether or not we meet the needs, being ethical, and continuing to work towards keeping whatever it is that we're doing, whether we end up in family therapy or whether it's just an FLE kind of position that we hold, that we are always concerned with being ethical and how we handle ourselves and protect not just ourselves but the people we work with. And recognizing the limitations that we have. And that whole thing that Myers-Walls was about recognizing the different scopes of these 3 different areas where they overlap and where they are alone in how they help other people. And I just thought that was great. So all of the stuff the last 3 weeks have been about the foundation, more about what we're doing and doing the workshop.
Right.
So.
Well, and I like the last chapter where it really emphasized that there really is a need for family life education, and that it's got its place right up there with the therapy and the case management. And I liked how they interwove those together, but yet separated them out.
Well, it was great because I guess I'm more visual in that when I looked at those intersecting circles, mm-hmm. I could see the overlap and where they actually are by themselves in meeting the needs of the people that we are trying to serve. So I just thought it was great.
Yeah. Yeah, it really was. I liked it a lot, too.
Yeah. So that's all I've got.
That's all you have. Okay, well, that was good.
Now it says 28 minutes. There's no way. I didn't talk for 11 minutes, did I?
Well, it is 4:20, and you called me, but I bet it's been a half hour since we turned the
Holy cow! Holy cow! Okay, well, I guess okay.
Yeah.
We just get started and we just can't stop. It's just so much fun.
I know, right?
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm going to stop the broadcast.
Okay.